What's up, Fishtank people? FishtankTV.com, building a Fishtank TV. Dawson's Fish Tanks, bringing it to you on a Sunday, baby. Yeah, it's Species Sunday, but I'm having too much fun with this TV tank. Got to show y'all what's going on. Bryan, the TV tank master, say what's up, man.
What's up, everyone?
All right, so today, folks, we are going to show you water in the tank, but we got some things to do first. We got to show you the lighting. We got to show you how we got to the lighting, the filtration, and kind of where we are. So the first things first, let's open this bad boy up and show everybody what we did. We have to work on the underside of this. Now, what we've done is we went ahead and painted, as you can see here. We've sanded it down, did a light sanding, and then we painted it with the acrylic paint, you can see. We didn't do the entire way to the edges because that's going to just sit down over it anyway, so not 100% necessary. Obviously, it doesn't need to look that great, so we've got it painted up here, but here's an important part. We'll go ahead and put that down. Some alternatives to this, though, Bryan, you were saying you could use, what were you saying you could use? You could use tape?
You could use
duct tape.
White duct tape. That's what I've got on a few of my tanks. You just have to realize in 2 to 3 years it's going to start to go bad. It's going to start cracking on you from the heat inside the tank and you'll have to replace it. But if you're willing to replace it every couple of years, that's an easy alternative to painting and you can do that very quickly.
Okay, let's show this here. This is an important part here. Now we're doing the hinges before we have the lights in, and we're going to talk about the lighting here in just a second, but this is a critical part because you want to put the hinges on. Bryan, break it down for us. We've got one hinge on already.
Alright, basically you want to put your hinges on with the lid on the tank so that you don't have to even worry. You don't want to put half of it on here and then try and put it on the tank and get it to match up evenly. I always put the lid on exactly where you want it. Put your hinge on with the hinge at the dead center of the break between the two. I've already gone ahead and took a knife and just poked holes where I want it just so that it's easier to start the screws in here. You can kind of see right there, that's exactly where I want it to be. And now I'm going to go ahead and just put these screws in. Granted, if you're buying a pack of hinges, it's going to come with better screws than these. We've just kind of mixed and matched some screws that we had around the house here.
Yeah, so we're putting the hinges in though, but the key is we're putting the hinges on while it's set the way we want it to be sitting, not taking it off the top off to a desk and doing it like that. We're having it sitting where we want it, we're putting the hinges on. It's going to make putting the lighting in a little bit more difficult, but we're going to be able to adjust the lighting based on the way it is, not sitting out on a bench. So that's the way we're doing that. So it's taking a little bit more work on that end, but we're going to get these hinges on and we're going to roll on to lighting. So I want to quickly talk about lighting this bad boy here. We got a couple of options with lighting. Bryan, you've used the Hagen HO T5s before. You've also used the Coral Life makes a strip with the two bulbs in it, but we're rolling with Build My LED on these folks. This is actually the first set of this bright quality LEDs I've actually got my hands on. So these are from our friends over at Build My LED. They're the XB series. I've actually never ran them on a tank by themselves. I've ran them on my 125 for a minute, and they did all right. I'm curious to see how they will do on here, but I've been pretty impressed with them so far. So we're gonna run with these. So we've got the lights mounted in here, and you can see we got them rolling in here good. We put them in after the hinges have already been installed. That way we can figure out exactly where we want them in here. And then what we want to do, Bryan has actually put this little lever here. Talk about this, Bryan.
Basically, you just want a single piece of wood. You can put a screwable load over here to stop it, but just a single screw through a piece of wood. That way, when you close the tank lid down, you can actually stop it. So when you're doing water changes, you don't have to have it leaning up against something, and it's not really just not in your way all the time. If we had enough room, we could do one on both sides, but it's not necessary. This one will hold it just fine. Just make sure your screw doesn't pop out the side, and you've got a sturdy enough screw so it's not going to break.
So we've got our lighting in here. We've also got our filter in here. We don't have the air pump hooked up, so we've actually got a little too big of a sponge filter in here. And you obviously, you can't see it from the front there, but if you go to the side a little bit, you can see it. So, and Bryan's... so I pay him top dollar. He went through the front here, so that keeps it pinned to the front there. We would use a smaller one, like the diameter of a pop can or pop bottle or something like that.
For 25 to 35
so yeah, folks, here it is. Your moment is zen. Let's flip this sucker down and
make sure when you are doing this, you want to have a lid on this tank.
Before your moment is zen, yeah, put the lid on. Well, let's talk about lid types real quick here. Glass. The benefits of glass, obviously, it's sturdier. Go ahead.
Yeah, glass is going to be sturdier for you. If you have glass, then obviously it doesn't give. There's no give at all, so if the light actually sits too low, the lid won't close directly on the tank. With acrylic, you'll get a little bit of a bend to it, so you could actually have the lights pushing just slightly into it. You could also use the Eclipse systems. They have the enclosed light. If you can buy that piece, you can get it at a yard sale, just an old Eclipse lid. You can take that piece of plastic and screw it on above your light. Then it doesn't matter as much if the light actually touches the water.
That'll perfectly seal it, and you've done that on 2 different tanks, right?
Yeah, I've got it on 2 different tanks right now. I really like the Eclipse lighting system for the top. I've even just used just the shell around T5s before. just as a way to keep the lights dry.
All right.
But if you have your air stone on, you want to make sure that you have something above the air stone. The air stone will bubble onto the top of your tank and will make your wood warp. You don't want to have that happen.
So make sure we have something above where the air stone is bubbling.
Yes, that way you don't get a bunch of condensation on the bottom. Even though it's painted, it can still warp up. You can see whoever had this tank beforehand, the wood is not real smooth at the top. It has some water damage. Somebody spilled something on this at one point or another. So,
and we also found it on the side of the road. So, all right, let's flip it down and flip it on, my man. I got that.
All right. Is everyone ready?
Oh, your moment of zen, folks.
Here we go.
TV tank. If you like what we're doing, subscribe, Fishtank people. Guess what we're going to be working on next? If you think this is how I'm going to aquascape it, forget it.